I said, someday I'm going to be a writer, and someday I'm going to have my name on a book. I was born in Kapoho on the Big Island of Hawaii. My father was a plantation worker. My mother was a seamstress for all the families in Kapoho. We were all like one big community. And we looked after each other. And I never thought we were poor, but we were. We would be called culturally deprived by outsiders. But since we were all at the same level, it was fine. And one of the most influential things that happened was I was 5 and Pearl Harbor was bombed. And later on, I wrote this, "Under the rising sun, the enemy came, wearing my face." So I grew up with soldiers with guns, and I think throughout my growing up years until adulthood, there was always a war going on. And yet, looking back now, it really helped me become who I am. And I think what really helped me become emotionalized perhaps and humanized was the lack of materials. I think that really made an impact on me in becoming a writer. I still remember the poem was "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud," and that really hit me because there was a touch of the loneliness plus the beauty of nature. I was determined. That was my dream. And I just knew I didn't want anyone to stand in my way, as I overprotected that dream of becoming a writer. I never took any courses in writing, in poetry, or any of those, because I felt I don't want anyone to tell me you can't be a writer, especially when you're from Kapoho. I never told anyone of my dream I wanted to be a writer until my first book of poems was published when I was in my early 30s. It was a big secret. So all my poems and stories I wrote, I kept it in a shoebox in the closet. I was away in college when the first eruption happened and the whole village evacuated and my box of writings were left behind. And until I got my first book published, I never told anyone. So it became a total shock to my family and to the community when I had my first book, Sand Grains, published in the early, 1969 or so. When I published my first book of poems, it was totally without help from anyone. I just wrote. And it was used by university professors. And so I called one professor in California. I said, "Why are you using my poetry book in your class?" And she said, "It has so many literary devices, so important in poetry." I said, "Tell me what they are," because I didn't know what they were. And she said, "You use alliteration, personification, imageries of powerful symbolism." I did not know what those words meant. And so when I began teaching then, I began to teach through functional use, more through definition. So that really helped me become, I think, a better teacher too. After I got my first 4 books of poetry, I did not let anyone read them until I sent them to the publisher. But the others, my wordsworth books, those 2 I wrote all on my own. But later on, it was after I moved to Sacramento when I got involved with poetry writing groups and writers group, and I learned about having a good editor. And so I think the editors helped me a lot too. Yesterday's book was my 18th book. So I've been doing it since 1970. And basically books on the Big Island has done my signing for all 18 books. I'm proud of having reached my dream of wanting to be a writer, but more than that, the effect it had on other people, especially the children. Until today, I have parents and their children all still in touch with me. If you have a passion, hold on to that passion and don't let anyone tell you you can't do what you want to do. I would like to get back to the 6-year-old child I was, how a simple book and a simple poem made such a difference in her life. And I hope maybe my books will still continue to make a difference in people's lives.